All right, number one has a squared plus AD. And then it tells you A is 4 and D is 6. Now that's the key. If they had just put this and not told us what these things are, there'd be nothing for us to do. We can't combine them and make them simpler because one's got a square, one's got a D, can't combine them. There's no number, it's not like you're solving anything. There's no equal sign, so that means we can't, work it later, we're gonna learn how to do. So the only thing that we can do is wait for them to tell us what these are, and they do. So this is a substitution problem. Okay, this goes back to when we first started variables and we substituted these in. Now, I would recommend, if you missed any classes last week, I posted videos, I think on Thursday, of everything we covered. So variables, substitution, combining like terms, and distribution. I have videos for each, and then I have one of me teaching it all. So, there's plenty of there to kind of go back if you missed any days. Now this means we substitute this every time we see an A. And the thing that to use is parentheses, because remember these two things, I don't want to just write 46. I don't want to just write 46 and think that that number is 46. Okay, that's one thing in substitution you learn. You don't just write them and then say, well, that's 46. This is A times D. So it's got to look like 4 times 6, not like that. Okay, otherwise you're going to think the answer is 46 there, and it's not. It's 4 times 6. So I use parentheses. Okay, questions on that? So that's 4 times 6. This one is 4 squared. Okay, I plugged in 4 for A, and I squared it. Okay, so it's 4 squared plus 4 times 6. And that parentheses comes in handy too. And I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but it's kind of throwing everything all at once. But let's say I had B squared and B was negative 4. Well, we need to know that's in parentheses to square the whole thing. And remember, we learned from our exponent rules, this is going to be a negative 4 times a negative 4, which is 16. Okay, positive 16. So those parentheses come in major handy. They kind of show you to remember not to multiply, or to multiply it. It also reminds you, if this is a negative number, to square the whole negative number. Okay? So a couple important things there.
Is that the answer?
Well, no, now we got to work it. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
just substituting it in correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we have all numbers, we actually have to keep going. Okay? So 4 squared is, we're going to do our exponent first. Remember PEMDAS.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be 16. Now I'm going to do this step by step. I'm not going to skip any steps. So 16, that was my first. Okay. And then before I do addition, I got to do multiplication. So this is going to be 24. 4 times 6 is 24. And then the last step is you can add it. So you get 40. All right. Number 2, here's where some negatives come into play. Okay. We'll do these in a different color here. So here's our problem. Here's where they give us. Now, had they not given us this, and you were on a test and it said simplify, this would be a distribution problem, right? That's what we would have done a couple days ago. Y times 10, y times negative L, and just simplified it. But they don't tell us that, and they actually tell us what y and L are. So we're not going to distribute because we don't need to. We're going to actually substitute in. But this negative is going to be important, okay? The fact that this is negative kind of changes things. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is plug in 2 for y. Okay, so that y is going to go where the 2 is. I put a parentheses just to keep that uniform, to keep that practice going where I put it in. I'm still multiplying, so that doesn't change anything. Okay, then I've got 10 minus, okay, this minus is different than what L is. Okay, this minus is its own thing. Now I substitute what L is. What is L? Negative 1. Okay, so it's going to look like negative, negative. But that's important because that changes it all. Okay? So, because if L had been 5, let's say it had been the number 5, you would have put in 10 minus 5. And it would have been 10 minus 5. But L is negative 1, it's a negative number, so it's 10 minus, it's still 10 minus, and it becomes 10 minus negative 1. Okay? Now I can do my problem. Now because I have all numbers, I personally choose not to distribute because it's just easier to do the parentheses first. But this becomes not 10 minus 1, it becomes 10 plus 1. Because it's minus minus. And if you're at calculator stage, I would use calculator right here. If you're using your calculator, put in 10 minus negative 1, and you get 11. Okay? Because you do 10 plus 1, which is 11. Now all you have left is 2 times 11, which is 22. Okay, number 3. Z plus 2z and minus m times 2 minus 1, and z is 4 and m is 3. So a little bit longer problem here. You've actually got 2 z's in there, so a couple times you got to substitute for z, and you've got a lot of things going on here. Okay. Now let's go ahead and plug in. So 4 plus not 24 but 2 times 4, big difference, right? Minus 3. That goes here, times 2, minus 1, close parentheses. Everybody see what I did there? All I did was substitute in. Every time I saw a z, I put a 4. Every time I saw an m, I put a 3. Make sure you show that you're multiplying, not just put in 24. Now it's a PEMDAS problem. Okay? So I'm going to work in this parentheses first. Okay? Like I said, I'm not skipping any steps. As you go on and get more practice, sometimes you can skip steps. But 3 times 2 is 6. Got to do multiplication first before I do subtraction. Okay. Then I just copy down again. 6 minus 1 is 5. Okay. What step would be next?
2 times 4.
Why 2 times 4?
First.
That was a blend answer.
That's
You guys are gonna hear yourself on camera, and it's gonna be like, who was that? Who said that? All right. So it's because, Kayla, go ahead and say it. I'm sorry.
Multiplication first.
Okay, and what, same thing?
PEMDAS order.
There you go, both right. So you both would have been right, it would just been a blended answer on the camera. You multiply first. So it's 4 plus 8 minus 5. Okay. Now you've got just going left to right. And I am going to skip a step here because I'm just going to go from left to right. Okay, this is addition, subtraction. 4 plus 8 is 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. Okay? So those are substitution problems that you're going to see on the test. Obviously, some are easy, you know, number one, smaller, then it gets a little bit bigger, two, then it gets a little bit bigger, number three. Keep, you know, very careful with your multiplying and with your negative numbers. But as long as you get practice with that, you know, and substituting, you know, that's what you're practicing there. Now, number 4, one of these, I think I've learned, hopefully it's not these, but I think one of these in times past, I forgot to put the right answer on there, so we'll see if that's the case here. So we'll see. Now this one's a word problem, but it's still a substitution problem, okay? So it says Doug was trying to figure out the interest he would owe at the end of his loan. So this puts it, you know, so far when we're learning these, we just think, oh, this is just random math, but here's putting it into practice. We know about loans, we know about interest. This is why it's important to have a formula and be able to plug things in, okay? And you're gonna be using formulas a lot now, geometry, all the area formulas, you know, it's just plugging in things for letters. It says, his interest grew over 4 years at the rate expressed in the following formula. So here's the following formula. X to the 4th plus x cubed plus x squared plus x. Okay? What is the total interest he owes at the end of 4 years? Okay, and I think this is the one that, yeah, we have to know what x is, and I don't think it's on there. So I think x is 2 in this, and let me make sure. I think it was x is 2. Let's see. Oh, wish I had an edit button on my camera, but let me make sure 2. Yeah, 2 things, yeah. There was 2 things wrong with this problem, that's right. So, you need to put an answer E, okay, which kind of gives it away that we're gonna answer E. But put an answer E choice there, and because that one got cut off, that's what happened on that one. E is 1,500, okay? And then let's do the problem where X is 2. Okay, so we're doing number 4.
Oh.
Yeah, and E got cut off on the paper, and then I think I had X is 2 written off to the side, and it got cut off. And this, every term that I use this happens, where I'm like, I should just update my major copy, but I make copies at the beginning of the year for like the whole, every term, so that's what happens. So 1,500 and X is 2. Okay, so those are the 2 things we're missing that we need to know. So this becomes a substitution problem, but now it's in everyday language. It's, you know, here's his interest formula. He needs to figure out how much interest he's paying. When X is 2, let's plug 2 in. So 50, 2 to the 4th, plus 2 cubed, plus 2 squared, plus 2. Okay? Every time I saw an X, I put a 2. 2 to the 4th, 2 cubed, 2 squared, 2. Okay? Now, before I do distribution, because I don't need to do distribution anymore, I can do all of these exponents. 2 to the 4th, 16. 2 cubed, 8. 2 squared, 4. Plus 2. I did all my exponents. 2, 16, 2 cubed is 8, 2 squared is 4, 2 is just 2. Now I can add them all together. 16 plus 8 is 24, plus 4 is 28, plus 2 is 30. And then 50 times 30 is 1,500. And so the answer is E, 1,500.
I can't see right now.
Oh, sorry.
My eyes hurt.
Oh. So that's 2 to the 4th, 2 thirds, or 2 cubed, 2 squared, 2. That becomes 16, 8, 4, 2. You add those, you get 30. 50 times 30 is 1,500. Okay. All right, number 5. Also a word problem, and this kind of goes into the geometry world I was talking about. Here is a volume problem. And it uses a formula. Like you're going to learn in geometry, it's a lot of formulas. Okay, and so the volume is represented by volume equals length times width times height. Now, you don't know what those words are yet, meaning I know from formulas that that's length, width, and height. That's what geometry does. We talked about how it's better to use letters that represent actual words. So that's how I know that's length, width, height. Okay, if the length of the room, L, is 12, and the width is 10, and the height is 7, what is the volume of the room? So we gotta just plug these in. Volume is 12 times, I'm gonna go ahead and use my times, 10 times 7. 12 times 10 times 7. Okay? I just plugged in 12, 10, 7. Okay? That is 120 times 7, which is 840, I believe. Someone check me out on that.
What was it?
12 times 10 times 7.
Yeah.
840. Okay. So once again, still substitution. This is all still substitution, but now it's kind of in everyday form and word problem form. Okay? So nothing's changed, nothing's new. It's just plugging in correctly and using that knowledge on how to plug things in. Questions on substitution? Okay, let's quickly move into combining like terms now. What we just got done with before we started this study guide. Okay, so here we've got some problems that are combining like terms. So I'm going to put them both up there together. Okay, there's number 6. Here's number 7. Number 6 looks more fun than number 7. I almost said funner, and then I would have lost my English certification on the spot if I would have done that. They would have seen the video and been like, take it away, revoke it, he loses his English certification. So here is this one, and here's the more funner. Oh, now I use the right one and the wrong one at the same time. So let's do this one first. Now, if you notice, these are different kind of problems. For one, it says combining like terms on the top. Sometimes it'll say simplify. We are not substituting anything in because they don't tell us what x is.
Oh, that's what you was talking about earlier.
Yeah, they don't tell us what x is. We still don't have an equal sign, so we can't solve them. We're going to learn how to do that in the next unit, how when they put an equal sign, we can start solving things. So all we're doing is just combining what we can and leaving everything else alone. Okay, so it's what we just did before we started the study guide. What can I combine out of these things? What can I combine with this x? Everything, or just something, or the 12x? Okay, I cannot combine these two things because they don't have an x. They don't have a variable, the same variable. They gotta have that same letter. So it doesn't have, these two things don't have an x. So I can combine x plus 12x. Why plus? Because that's a positive. It'd be like just covering these things up for a second. Covering up the things we don't need. And it looks like x plus 12x. You see that? I wish I had a bigger eraser because it becomes x plus 12x. So what is x plus 12x? 13x. Very good. 13 x's now. So, that was like a college joke. 13 x's, college. So, yeah, you just combine them, 13x. I do a thing when I get into solving with variables and we gotta put x's on one side. I'm like, we gotta move all our x's to Texas. And we kind of make that. Everybody remembers that country song. So x plus 12x, 13x, and then remember, I cross them out because then I like I said, my brain, if I go shopping, I go for, whatever, let's say I'm trying to buy milk, I will walk in the store and buy everything but milk, and I get home and I'm like, I didn't even buy milk, that's why I win. So my brain, I've got to cross them off. You don't have to do that, but it helps me know I've used those two things, especially in one this long that we're going to do. Now I can do negative 3 plus 10. What is negative 3 plus 10? 7. And it's a positive 7, so that's why I put positive 7 there. I need that plus sign. And that's using these two things. Can I combine these two things? No. One has an x, one doesn't. So that's my answer. Okay. Number 7 is a little bit longer. Okay, so, but same process. It's got to have the same variable and it's got to have the same exponent. So that means there's only one other thing I can combine 7y squared. Yes, these have y's, but they're not y squares. It's got to have that same exponent. So I can do 7y squared plus 12y squared, which is 19y squared. 7 plus 12 is 19. And then negative 2y plus 7y, okay, that looks like this. Negative 2y plus 7y. If you put in your calculator negative 2 plus 7, you get positive 5y. Don't forget your y at the end. Okay, negative 2 plus 7 is 5, so there's 5 y's. And then all I have left, that's why crossing them out helps me, all I have left is this plus 15. There's no other number to combine it with, so I just have a plus 15 there.
Would that just be the answer?
And I look and I say, I can't combine any of these three things, so yep, there's my answer. Now obviously, later if they tell me what y is, then I can plug it in and get a number, get down to a single number. But I don't know what y is, so that's where I leave it. Okay? All you're doing on combining like terms is simplifying it down. Just making this look a little bit better than this. Okay? All right, number 8. Number 8 is a distribution problem. Just a simple, basic, we like these when they finally just put a simple, basic little problem. This is distribution though, so it's so simple, sometimes it can be hard. Don't forget to do both things. Don't forget to multiply it times the x, 3x. And don't forget to multiply it times the negative 4, which is negative 12. And which one is 3x minus 12? B. Everybody got 6 and 7? Erase it. Okay. I have to stay on this one board because we got the camera going. I'm limited when I can't use all 3 of my boards. I'm kind of spoiled in that way. I've never had a classroom that's had 3 boards. I've had 2. And now I have 3, and it's crazy. All right, so here is a distribution and combining like terms together. Okay, it puts both of them together. So, got to do my distribution first, just like we did a while ago. This is negative 8b Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8, B. And then negative 2 times negative 3 is a positive 6. Okay, that's negative times a negative is a positive. And then I have this plus 17 at the end. Why does it not get multiplied? I'm waiting for that blended answer again, where like everybody answers at once.
I'm trying to think, but I can't even.
It's not in the parentheses,
Oh.
so it doesn't get multiplied, okay? But we're not done. As opposed to the other ones, we were done. This one, I can still combine this 6 and 17. Those are both numbers. So it becomes negative 8b plus 23. 6 plus 17 is plus 23.
You said 6 plus 17?
Yes, it's 23. Okay. Number 10. Also a combining like terms and distribution. But it's got a very important part there. So whenever you see this on a test, hint, hint, excuse me, then know that there's most likely more than one answer. It says select all that apply. Okay, you ever see that in the directions? So I will tell you that when it says that for these, there's probably more than one answer. Okay? What they do, I don't really necessarily like this because we're learning so much that we should just combine it all and be done with it. But they kind of give us select all of them that at least part of the steps are there. So let's see what they're talking about. Let's first do our distribution. This is going to be 3 times 15, which is 45. And then it's going to be 3 times negative 2x, which is negative 6x. Everybody see where I got that? 3 times 15 is 45. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Okay? Now, do you see an answer on there that has exactly this?
D.
Which one?
D.
Almost,
Oh, no.
because D has minus 45.
B.
B. B has it exactly like this, plus 45. So that's one of the answers. Okay, B is negative 7x plus 45 minus 6x. So you would circle B. But, this is where, like I said, I don't necessarily like this because we're not done with the problem. But this one's not wrong. It's like just halfway through. What can I combine out of these?
No, 7, 6.
Yeah, the 7x and the 6x. But remember, it's negative 7 minus another 6x. So that's going to be negative 13x. Okay, I just combined that and that. Negative, if you put in your calculator, negative 7 minus 6, you get negative 13. Now, what answer looks like this? A. So that's another one that's correct. So B and A. Now I can't combine them any further because that's got an X that doesn't. So that's where I have to stop. Okay, I want you to skip number 11 and 12. Don't cross them out because as you learn, we go back and do those later. Meaning on the next thing that we go on, that'll be on the next study guide, next test. But we're not doing it on this test. 11 and 12, we've not got to yet, adding and subtracting polynomials. Number 13 will probably be, let's see. Do I want to do this one?
Have we did any work with polynomials?
No, we haven't, yeah. Go ahead and skip number 13 too. We could do number 13 it's kind of still based on this knowledge we have now, but I'm just gonna put it with the polynomials, okay? Because it's got the word polynomial in it. So skip number 13 as well. We will get to that when, that will probably be the very next thing we do. But 14 and 14 we can do, okay? 14 we can do from what we have. Okay. This says find the perimeter of the following rectangle. Now, it looks like a problem we've never done, right? And that's what I was saying. Some of these look like things we've not done, but it's like the word problems, it's just taking the knowledge that we have and applying it, okay? So this says find the perimeter of this rectangle. First thing that we notice is, remember rectangles, the thing that makes them special is this side. So like if this was 15, then this would be 15. And if this was 4, then this would be 4. Well, we've learned that, you know, a rectangle is that way. It's the same thing, but now we got letters involved. But see, this is the exact same as this, and this is the exact same as this. So that's not changed. Perimeter means that you are just walking around the perimeter. You're just adding all these together. If it had been something like 15, 15, 3, and 3, you would have just added them all up to find the perimeter. You would have done 15 plus 3 is 18, plus 15 is 33, plus 3 is 36. You would have just added them all up. Well, we're doing the same thing, except we're using these letters. And here's what's crazy. We know how to do that now. So just put them all together. 4y plus 9, plus 2y plus 3, plus 4y plus 9, plus 2y plus 3. So I just took that, plus that, plus that, plus that, just like I had done if they were all numbers. Now what kind of a problem does it become? Combining like terms. So I can add all my y's together. This one I definitely need to cross off so I know what I'm doing. 4y plus 2y is 6y, plus 4y is 10y, plus 2y is 12y. I just added, all I did there was add 4 plus 2, which is 6, plus 4, which is 10, plus 2, which is 12. Okay? 4 plus 2 plus 4 plus 2, 12. Okay? Now I can add my numbers. 9 plus 3 is 12, plus 9 is 21, plus 3 is 24. And I added all my numbers together. Now, can I combine these two things? No. That's the perimeter of this shape. And as soon as we find out what y is, then we can find out what number it is. But until then, we just leave it like that. Now, 15, I'm just going to give the answers, but this was on the prior test, so this is kind of review. But what is equivalent to this? 2 negative 3 times 2 to the 6. Okay. What do we do with our exponents? We add them. So it becomes 2 cubed. Negative 3 plus 6 is cubed. So 2 cubed would be d, but it would also be 8. 2 cubed is 8. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So D and C are the answers to that. Okay, negative 3 plus 6 is 3. You add the exponents. Okay, negative 3 plus 6 is 3. That's where I got this 2 cubed. So that's one answer, because it's up there, 2 cubed. And then 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And then the last page, anything to the 0 power is 1. 4 to the 0 is 1. Okay, 3/8 over 3 to the 5th. You just subtract your exponents. Remember, that's the shortcut. So it's 3 to the 8 minus 5 is third. Just did 8 minus 5. And then 3, negative 3 is, remember we just rewrite it, put it at the bottom of the fraction, and change it to a positive. So those are those 3 numbers. And you still have 10 minutes to finish your assignment from combining like terms. So I wanted to give you a little time, so we got it in. I'm gonna push stop on the camera though, because that's the end of the study guide, of the ones we're gonna do for this test.